चलें शुरू करें आज का लेक्चर।
जी मैम प्लीज।
मेकिंग बजट्स वर्क। मेकिंग बजट्स वर्क में हमारे पास सिर्फ 4 टॉपिक्स हैं एंड दिस चैप्टर इज बेसिकली मोर ऑफ theoretical. So how you make budgets work, it just means that when a company starts any project or it makes a budget or a plan for it. And when it makes a budget and a plan for it, it's not just up to the point of making the budget. You also have to make sure that you are going to execute that project and you make it
Exactly.
successful. So for that, you need to place some controls, you need to take some action, you need to keep a check and balance that where the team is deviating from the budget and why, keeping the team motivated towards achieving the objectives. All of this comes under this topic. Okay, so I'm not going through much of this as most of it is theoretical. I think you can do it yourself. If any,
Exactly, ma'am.
in case if anything you are unable to understand, you may always ask.
Okay, ma'am.
So this is mostly theory. So let's move on to the next chapter. It's very basic. Capital expenditure budgeting. Now, what is capital expenditure? Afaf, any idea?
Ma'am, capital expenditure is that expenditure which is mostly one time that enhances the like the asset, not its function actually. That expenditure is called capital expenditure. For example, buying an asset is a capital expenditure.
Exactly.
And yes.
Exactly. Capital expenditure is basically of one-off nature. It happens once in a lifetime. Like maybe if you take an example of home, you purchase fridge once in a lifetime. You purchase washing machine maybe once or twice in a lifetime, not more than that, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it all falls under the capital expenditure. Whereas what is the revenue expenditure?
Remember when you
Yes.
yeah. Like with time when we like furnishes or do little of things to the asset to enhances the revenue with time. So this is revenue expenditure.
The first feature is it is a routine expense. It happens either daily basis or monthly basis or weekly basis, but it's a routine expenditure.
Exactly.
The second feature is that when you're incurring a capital expenditure, it is going to increase your earning capacity.
Exactly.
Okay, this is with regard to the organization. Of course, when you purchase a fridge for your home, it's not going to, increase your earning capacity. Definitely not. But in case of an organization, when it intends to do the capital expenditure, one of the objectives is also to increase the earning capacity.
Exactly, ma'am.
The second feature for revenue is that it maintains the earning capacity, as you said it rightly. To maintain the earning capacity. So
Yes,
that's the difference. So let's jump on to the sums. Same goes for capital income, revenue income. When the proceeds from sale of non-trading assets, that means if you're selling off that fridge or that machine or that particular equipment or a property or a building, then that becomes your capital income. Whereas your revenue income is by selling of your trade items, the items you're trading in, your trading assets, your inventory and the other things that you're offering for sale.
Exactly, ma'am.
Why is the distinction important, Apar?
Like what do you mean? Like the distinction?
Why is the distinction between revenue expenditure and capital expenditure important? Like, why do we need to differentiate?
Ma'am, it's because of prudence, we can say, because like we can't put the capital expenditure as revenue expenditure because it will understate the like the profits or can overstate the assets as well. So that's why I think it's important. For example, अगर हम capital expenditure को as revenue expenditure समझे तो like expense हमारा कम हो जाएगा, expense like कम हो जाए तो हमारे profits बढ़ जाते हैं.
एक्सपेंस बढ़ेगा या कम होगा अगर कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर को आप रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर की तरह रिकॉर्ड करोगे?
क्या मतलब मैम?
आपने कहा कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर को अगर हम रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर की तरह रिकॉर्ड करेंगे तो हमारा एक्सपेंडिचर कम शो होगा। इज दिस द केस?
नहीं, नो नो मैम, अगर हम रेवेन्यू लाइक अगर कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर को हम रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर समझे ना, तो वो एक्सपेंस तो हमारा ज्यादा हो जाएगा ना, क्योंकि बिकॉज वो तो प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस में आ गया, फिर एक्सपेंस ज्यादा हो गया तो
यस
लाइक तो
एग्जैक्टली,
प्रॉफिट कम
ज्यादा
हो।
हो जाएगा, ज्यादा हो जाएगा भाई, यू सेड कम
एग्जैक्ट
हो जाएगा पहले। अब वो बाय मिस्टेक
नो।
कह दिया होगा। ठीक है, चलो। तो
जी
ये
मैम।
ज्यादा हो जाएगा इसलिए प्रॉफिट पर कम हो जाएगा, बट दिस थिंग you said this is the prudence concept, so this is not the prudence concept. Okay,
ओके मैम।
this is just a rule because obviously we need to categorize. Revenue expenditure will fall under statement of profit and loss, and the capital expenditure needs to fall under the statement of financial position. So therefore, capital expenditure is of more of capital nature, and we are purchasing an asset basically over there, and no a non-current asset. And in case of revenue expenditure, we are not purchasing a non-current asset. So
जी
therefore, the
मैम।
classification will differ, and this does not fall under prudence concept. So be clear, what is prudence concept?
Ma'am, we can't like understate or we can't overstate the profits and understate the liabilities actually, nor we can overstate the assets as well.
No. Prudence concept is when you take action out of fear.
Okay, ma'am.
And what's the fear? Fear of loss. Right now, loss has not happened, but you are expecting or speculating that in future, in a month, you will be bearing a loss. So what you do, what does the prudence concept tell us? The prudence concept tells us record it now,
Okay.
make a provision.
Okay.
Even if it has not happened, but there is a probability that it's going to happen, then you must make a provision for it. That is what
Okay,
prudent
ma'am.
concept tells us. Record it before time. Okay. Next,
Okay, ma'am.
preparing capital expenditure budget. Okay. Preparing capital expenditure budget is also, there's nothing much in it. Basically, you decide that how much you need to invest in purchasing a new equipment, or maybe, uh, purchasing a building, land, so on and so forth. So this was also mostly a theoretical chapter. Methods of project appraisal. Now this is an extension of the earlier chapter. This is where sums fall in. And why am I calling it an extension of the previous chapter? Because it is related to capital expenditure. Okay. What is capital expenditure? You are purchasing non-current assets. You are purchasing anything big, one-off. And what is project appraisal? We have a lot of investment in hand and we need to invest that somewhere in something. Maybe an equipment, maybe a property, maybe a project, maybe a company. Somewhere we need to invest it. So where should we invest it? We have so many options. We have option A, B, C, D, E in the market. Where should I invest my savings? Every household does some savings. So same way organization also does some saving for bad times. But in the accountancy world, it is said that if you keep money idle, then then the value of that money, what will happen to it? Afaf, what will
Ma'am,
happen to
repeat
the
it, please.
value of the money?
Ma'am, like for example, $1 of today is not equal to $1 of 2024.
Exactly.
So exactly, ma'am.
So that means if you keep your money idle, what's going to happen? The value of your money is going to decrease with the passing by of time. As the time passes by, the value of currency decreases. It falls. That's the rule of law. That's what the accountancy world says. And therefore, it is considered to be foolish to keep a lot of cash in hand, which is idle. Instead, it is always recommended that rather keeping cash idle, invest it in something. either purchase gold or other foreign currency, or either put it in bonds, or either put it in a bank, or either put it in another company. Put it somewhere. Make it out, make money out of it. Don't keep it idle. So, but the company is thinking that where should it invest? There are so many options in the market. I have company A to invest in. I have a project of the government to invest in. I have, maybe I can, invest in my own subsidiary. What do I do with that money? What will be most beneficial for me? What will, and how will I know what will be most beneficial for me? By getting to know about the methods of project appraisal. How to appraise a project, how to
Yes, ma'am.
appraise the project, how to check that which project would be more beneficial. So there are various methods. We are going to learn them now. One of them is payback period, net present value, discounted payback, internal rate of return. Now this payback period is the most common period method.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know this? Can you explain it to me?
Ma'am, in this method, we calculate only the years that will give us, like that will pay us the capital we have invested, or or we going to invest actually.
I did not understand. Can you explain me again? What does payback
Like, for
period tell me?
ma'am, it tells us for example, if we invest like $1 lakh, for example, and like for 10 years. So so it is probable that it will tell us that in which year or after how much time we are going to have our invested capital back.
Exactly, exactly. Even a layman who is not an ACCA or who does not have a very high education or qualification, even that man will think that, okay, if 1 lakh rupee my friend is asking for it, okay, and that 1 lakh rupee my friend is asking for it, and my friend is promising me that he will return me this 1 lakh within a year, and I have another option that if I go to the bank and I invest this 1 lakh, then I can get more interest, or maybe I can get back in 6 months time with more interest. Whereas if I give it to my friend, the interest rate would also be less and he will return it to me after 1 year. So of course the person, any layman, can also see this. He will make sure that he calculates the payback period. How soon will he get back his initial investment? And why do you think a person thinks this way? Yes, Apa?